Okay, so we're pretty much halfway through Season 4. Let me wrap this up nice and quick before this becomes irrelevant. So firstly, I'd just like to apologize for the admitted cringiness of my first theory video. It was one of the first videos that I've ever made, so granted it was kind of sloppy in places and I didn't present my evidence as well as I should have, and yeah, I'm sorry. I'll do better in the future. Now, given the fact that we've seen pretty much half of Season 4 already, the bottom line for me is I don't really think that my theory is true anymore. And it's not because of anything I've seen in the show. Moreover, it's the fact that this is the last season. See, when I come up with a theory, or when I jump on board a theory bandwagon, I do it because I think there's a high probability of it actually coming true. And when I look at the facts and figures in a theory, I'm not just looking at what I see in the show, I'm thinking about what the writers are going to do. What is the most profitable story plot that these people will go with? What's the most obvious? Or what's the one that will subvert people's expectations? I like figuring things out, which is why I generally don't do a lot of theories, because, well, writers can be kind of hard to predict. There are different ones, and different ones are owned by different companies, so, yeah. The reason that I believed my theory was correct at the time was because I thought it was a good writing choice. If Marco ended up being part of the real Mewman bloodline, that would mean that he would become king. That would create tension and drama between him and Star. And if they got married, that would mean that Star's family would be back on the throne of Mewni, which I thought would bring things around full circle. However, given how things have gone in Season 4 so far, obviously that's no longer the case. They really seem to be hammering in that Eclipsa and Globgor are the actual new king and queen, and their bloodline is going to be that of a Mewman monster utopia. So, yeah, it's very unclear exactly what the writers are going to do, but I have a feeling it ends with Star and her family not being part of the royal family anymore. There's probably going to be some showdown with Mina. She's obviously going to be the end-all villain. But after all the dust settles, I think it's pretty clear that Eclipsa and her family will be reigning supreme. Mewni will become a new land full of new principles and accepting monsters and such. Meanwhile, Star, she could end up with Tom or she could end up with Marco. I mean, it's a little up in the air right now. I'm one of those Starco shippers, I guess. I mean, I'm not big on the shipping game, but it seemed pretty obvious that's what they were going to do. They are the lead characters, after all. I suppose it'd be refreshing if they didn't end up together, because that's kind of a trope at this point, but it was a little unexpected. I don't know if it's underwhelming or not. I haven't made up my mind. But either Star is going to go live with her parents, or she could go back to Earth with Marco. I don't really think so. But I seriously doubt that Marco will actually end up being Mewman. It is interesting that they addressed the Blood Moon curse, because it did get me thinking about those Mewman cheek marks that we saw. How do we rectify that now that it's pretty obvious that Marco isn't destined to be Mewman? Well, a lot of you seem to think that it was because Star and Marco were connected by the Blood Moon curse. And you know what? The direction that the show is going, that's probably true. The fact that they were shaped like crescent moons, the fact that it only seemed to happen when they were connected by the curse and we haven't seen it since. The very fact that Marco pointed it out. They probably wanted to make it super obvious so that we wouldn't jump to these Mewman conclusions. But you know, I'm a little disappointed by that. And the fact that they severed the Blood Moon curse. I mean, it's like, where are we going with the story now? A little unsure about this. And then there were all those theories that Marco was the descendant of Justin, or that Marco was the descendant of Selena the Shy. And most of those theories have to do with them having a lot of similarities. And granted, my own theory about Marco being related to Eclipsa heavily relied on that. However, I have to admit to myself and to all of you that Just because two characters look similar or act similar doesn't necessarily mean that they are inherently related. I mean, look at Moon and Star. At first glance, would you have assumed that they were related? Maybe, maybe not. Honestly, I think she takes after her dad the most. Bottom line is, they have not supplied us with enough evidence for pretty much any theory for us to solidly say that Marco could be related to the royal bloodline. There are hints, there are possibilities, and it's exciting to think about what might be. But at the end of the day, I just don't think the writers are gonna go that way. I have a feeling that maybe Disney is kind of putting the kibosh on this show. It might not be doing that well. Maybe they ended it at season 4 early. Or maybe they just didn't plan this far ahead, or maybe it was part of the plan. Either way, I feel as though it's a little rushed, and I don't think that there's going to be a satisfactory ending that's going to tie up all the loose ends. Now, I'm probably going to end up eating my words later, but I have no doubt that they will deliver an awesome season finale like they did in season 3. But I'm not getting my hopes up because it feels as though maybe they had a different plan and Disney might be shutting them down early. Or maybe I'm just sad that my stupid theory isn't true. I don't know. Either way, the show has never been going in the direction that Marco is Mewman. They might pull it out of a hat at the end or something, but like I said, there's just not enough time for them to build up a story like that. So it's probably not gonna happen. I am interested to see how the story ends, but I have nixed the whole Marco being Mewman thing out the window. We'll see how right I am. We'll see how things turn out in a few months, I guess. But for now, that's pretty much all I've got to say. In all honesty, I really am hoping that the season finale is pretty awesome. They are making it seem like it's gonna be really awesome, with Mina and Sebastian and all that. She's a really, really terrifying character, and if you've read the Book of Spells, her origins are just as terrifying. So, I'm excited. Yeah, keep on watching Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and have a nice life.